So I'm back after quite a while, feeling quite energized. I've been part of a couple of gigs, and with what happened recently with the hip hop reunion and summit, and people feeling energized. Oops, the bell tolls. By the way, that clock that you see back there, I built that. I made that clock when I was 18. Similarly, you see a table in the corner there, a Boya table inlaid with inlaid yellow wood. I made that when I was 17. I was doing that and this while I was breakdancing back in the day. Anyway, so I'm back after a while and feeling energized by being involved in creating good music and being part of some live shows. And the recent hip hop summit and reunion, meeting people, everybody wanting to do better and more and getting together and work with each other. It's all quite energizing and positive. There are negatives too, but we're going to bypass the negatives. And everybody wants to connect and uplift and contribute, and that's pretty cool. So lots of conversations are happening at this point, and that's a good thing, that people are trying to do better. One thing I noticed is that being to a couple of these shows and being part of a couple of shows that I've been to recently, one thing was glaringly obvious and frustrating to me is that the sound was not good, quite bad actually, unbearable at times. Um, Particularly frustrating with hip hop that after all these years we still um, are making all the same mistakes that we had before. I mean, it's almost to a point where, with better equipment, with more knowledge available, with more accessibility, that we are doing worse than we did when we didn't know anything and didn't have access to that many things. So it's been, and I think it's a lot of it is, once again, it's the lack of skills transfer, not being involved, where you're handing over, being together and handing over skills by working with people over time. And yeah, like basic things, like it's all these years and we're still having rap shows where rappers they're cupping the microphone, cupping the microphone, hand over the capsule, and then the sound engineer's trying to make it sound good, but you're covering the capsule, distorting it, and then people can't hear themselves, and then make everything louder, and everything gets pushed louder because you can't hear. And it's just like a cycle of, and that's happening all the time. Not everybody has the luxury of having access to good sound systems and PA. But that's not only the excuse, because even if you have cheap or not that good PA, you can still use it in a way that that you can make the most of it. You can minimize all those mistakes. You can't be cupping the microphone and saying the sound is bad on a bad PA. You can make it sound better. And I think a lot of it is the attitude. I mean, at the one show, the sound when we were setting up the mics, the one guy was completely cupping the mic, and I said, first I didn't want to really say anything because like it's not my, the guy doesn't know me. So I went up. Eventually, I said, like, if you hold the mic at the bottom, it'll sound better while the engineer's setting it up. The guy looks at me, and then he puts his hand over and continues. So if you don't want to learn, and if your attitude is like, no, this is how I do it, and then you complain about the sound. Now that kind of attitude, I think, is quite frustrating to see. We can do better. Sound is very integral to hip hop and what we are doing. It gives the energy for the dancing. It gives the energy for the rapping. Another thing that I notice is that because there's the availability of seemingly technically better, like radio microphones and things like that, people buy cheap Chinese radio microphones. That's okay for a conference and meetings and that, but when you're rapping, into a microphone. Not all microphones can um, take the pressure of and capture the capture every word, every syllable, every transient in your voice, every nuance. Those cheap mics just don't do it. And I see a lot of times people are using those microphones for shows because like they're cordless and whatever. But an old Shure microphone with a cable is, you can't go wrong with those things. So people, instead of buying like a really solid industry standard, can't go wrong mic with a cable, someone will rather invest in cheap radio mics that look kind of cool, but they can't handle the job at hand. So yeah, so I think also I was at quite a significant venue doing seeing a reggae show, and I was seeing like that was quite unpleasant standing in front of the band. It was so distorted and loud, and I mean the music is reggae music, so it's should be feeling good, and everybody should be feeling happy. And it was like completely unpleasant to stand in front of it. And I went over to the engineer's booth, and I'm looking over at the desk, and everything everything is shoved into the red. Like the red meters are just going like everything has been pushed. Like if you can't hear the voice, you make the voice louder. Now the voice is too loud, so now you make. It's like 2025 with all these knowledges. With all this knowledge, you are still engineers are still pushing things into the red. Like the PA can't handle that. The sound can't handle that, and it's the difference between good sound and bad sound is small things. So that's an area that I think we should concentrate to. That sound PA professionalism in the way you come to a gig. Do you come to a gig with a MP3 and a memory stick, or do you use it on your phone? Why are you using a low resolution MP3? Why, all these things? Do you do a sound check? Does a sound check even work? Does everybody pitch up? I've been to multiple shows where the PA is not set up an hour after the sound check was scheduled to happen, or the PA has been set up an hour after the event was supposed to happen. So these are all the things that add up to an event that delivers bad sound. It's not just that the sound is bad or the engineer is bad. It's the process, all the process and the attitudes before that needs adjustment. We need to treat sound with the reverence that it deserves. We need to act as professionals in professional spaces, and it's a job. You turn up. If you're a doctor, you have to prepare. You have to have your things in order. If you're a plumber, you have to prepare. You have to get your stuff all in order. If you're a rapper, you pitch up with the lowest effort, and then you want to say we professional and we deserve this and we deserve that. No, you need the right tools, the right attitude, the right work ethic, and that is what makes the right product, the right result. So that's something that I'd really like to explore more, especially within the hip hop and the general local industry. Just the fact that you have a PA doesn't mean that the sound is going to be good. We have to work with what we have to make it better and make wise choices in how we approach it. We can be better. That's it.